Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to a random rant. You know, when you sometimes watch a TV series, for instance, I love to watch, uh, criminal law series or police procedural series, courtroom dramas, and especially in courtroom dramas. And then you have this big courtroom scene, and you have the judges sitting there, and then you have the law books in front of them, and the books are set in a way that you can see the title. And that always makes me so angry because, of course, when you are a judge and you sit there, you would have the book turned around with the title to you so that you can see it. And they just do it so that you, as a viewer, know they have law books there. Anyway, these kind of pet peeves I also have with books. And one of the things that I really don't like is if the author, slacks on the research. I recently did a Q&A video about writing, and a lot of you asked me about researching when I do my research. And I'm always terrified when I write about something that I would make a mistake in the research, or that I will not get a fact right or anything like that. And so I'm always, when I read a book and something like that happens, I'm put off immediately. Anyway, maybe I should start telling you what book I will rant about. And the book is called Lullaby by Leïla Slimani, translated from the French by Sam Taylor. It was published at the beginning of this year in English, published in French last year, and it won the Prix Goncourt, the biggest French literary prize last year. So it's a big book in the sense that it won prizes and translated. Anyway, the book is about, it's based on a real life story. 2012, I think it happened, that a nanny in New York killed the two children she was supposed to watch. And Leïla Slimani takes this fact and makes it into a novel. And the book opens, this is not a giveaway, it really opens with the sentence, "The baby is dead. It only took a few seconds." So the book opens when the deed is done, when the nanny Louise has killed the two children in her care, and she tried to kill herself. Afterwards, she survives and she is brought to the hospital in a coma. And then the book takes on from there. We learn the backstory of the parents, Miriam in particular, the mother. She is a French-Moroccan lawyer who goes back to work after her second child and is really excited about it. And then you have her husband. We learn a little bit about him, and mainly we learn about Louise, the 40-year-old 40-year-old nanny who kills the children and tries to kill herself. So the book is more a character study of how things might get out of hand, and it does a good job in that task the author obviously set for herself, that you are not given a clear explanation. You are given multiple possibilities why Louise would do something like that in the end. One of the things that I didn't that much like about the book was the fact that I thought it was too much of too many possibilities given. But anyway, the pet peeve was not that. The pet peeve was the fact that Louise, as I said, tried to kill herself and then ends up in a coma in the hospital. And in the course of the book, we not only look back at Louise's life, but we also look forward what happened after the killing had happened. So you have a police inspector investigating, and you have a court trial, which you wouldn't have, because there is no trial if the defendant is in a coma. There wouldn't probably even be much of a police investigation, because obviously Louise is not going to wake up, so she will never be able to stand trial, and the police will not spend a lot of hours and resources on investigating. They will try to, secure the evidence. They will talk to witnesses, because she might wake up and then time might have passed, so the witnesses might not remember. They might do that. But one of the big scenes in the book is, for instance, a reconstruction, so that you would go to the scene of the crime, and you would, with the police people, you would reenact what happened. Well, this certainly would never happen without the defendant present or the defendant's lawyer present. So I don't know whether you can understand, but it drives me nuts when stuff like that happens, and it makes the book, for me, it makes, yeah, I can't trust the author anymore. And there were other research, lapses like that. For instance, one of the possibilities given in the book that Louise might go over the edge and commit this horrible crime is that she has financial difficulties because her husband, who died a couple of years prior, had left her a lot of debts. Now, if you're familiar with the law of inheritance, you know that you can refuse the inheritance. So that would mean that Louise would be able, to say, I refuse the inheritance, and that means that she would not be responsible for her husband's debts. You might argue Louise might not know that, but Miriam, the other main character in the book, for certain knows it, because she's a lawyer. And Miriam finds out about Louise's financial difficulties and where they come from, that they come from her late husband, who, went into debt. So that is another thing that I just thought, I don't know, when one or two of these things happen, when I know from, stuff you know yourself, because I'm a lawyer, obviously, and it's just not, it could never happen like that, because there wouldn't be a trial if the defendant is in a coma, and you could get rid of the debts that your husband left you because you could refuse the inheritance. I don't know. The book was spoiled for me, despite the fact that it's really well written, and that from what I can see, I didn't read the French original, but the English translation doesn't read translated, so I guess Sam Taylor did a good job. But I was just angry. And the book was, praised. Like I said, it won the Prix Goncourt, and obviously none of the judges were bothered by the fact, was bothered by the fact that a trial would never happen, or that the inheritance stuff and the money stuff might not be a valid argument. None of the editors, neither Gallimard in France, nor the English or the American editor, obviously realized that this is something that is not quite right, which adds to the pet peeve that I think so many people have read the book and have judged the book, and nobody seems to bother that the author should get the facts right. Anyway, this was just a random rant, like I said, and I'm very curious to know whether you have book pet peeves like that, that something is not right and just spoils the experience for you, whether you read Lullaby, what you thought of it, whether you realized that stuff in the book couldn't happen that way. I'm really curious to know, but it's more especially I'm curious to know whether you have bookish pet peeves. Anyway, I'll go now, have a cup of tea and calm down. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy a rant now and again, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye-bye.